This actually, my model does have DFS as a root cause without.
There's a good question. Why don't you ask the audience how many use CFS in their workstation?
Sure, how many use DFS in their workstation? Here, everything is DFS. One wasn't happy about the resize, or didn't know about it, so. Okay, so how many minutes do I have? Oh, good. Okay, so when I switch to out, for those who don't know me, I actually have a brief introduction to who I am here. So, okay, I'm a Gen 2 developer, and I say Gen 2 because Gen 2 is actually more than just Linux. It actually has a FreeBSD variant, and I have actually made code changes to that. So not just Linux, or mostly Linux. Now I found a few things. Well, I found the projects in Gen 2 was kind of response to system deep anything on us. I'm also one of the maintainers this time, the primary maintainer of the NFS generator, which is used for NFS archives for the boot process, and many miscellaneous other things. I have been contributing to DFS Analytics for it'll be 3 years now in probably like 4 months. So, and then I also have some external contributions among many other things. Anyway, so that's who I am. And what I'm here to talk to you about is, well, the primary motivation for this is actually integration management. So we have some very nice command line tools at the moment. They're very easy to use, but and you can script them too, but things like error handling and things, it's not that great if you actually want to do some sort of management on top of it, and or at least automated management. And they're being used in quite a few places right now. So yeah, backups, volume management, and we actually have this sort of setting up the boot holder, about 2 hooks into it, or in some cases we into ZFS. And then we also have system root via the MFS archives that I mentioned earlier, and that actually technically is just a command just as a script. Anyway, so yeah, these tools are being used in more places than you would think. And okay, so as I was saying, this is somewhat automatic. The error handling isn't all that great, and I think I put the error handling order down in my slides. Anyway, so yeah, it's not interactive command tools are great if you are doing things interactively as a human being, but if you're writing scripts on top of it and other things on top of it, this is not a stable interface. People can add new features, they can make changes, and it's not necessarily possible to keep track of these changes, or at least not keep track, but anticipate them, and things can break in unexpected ways. And also screen falls and tall. So, yes, why don't I get to my error handling forward point. And here, to do things right. And even if you do things right, and I hope everyone can hear me, I'm not really that. Okay, good. Anyway, if you do very right, and you managed to overcome those difficulties. You still have an issue where if the output interface changes on view, things get overgrown no matter how hard you try. This can occur if you use a sort of kernel update. In fact, I think my next slide probably will look into that, so we'll want to go to it. You guys ready? So here, this is actually a case about kernel updates. So we actually ran into this issue on Linux not that long ago, where we had a major change that came into Prometheus. It was OpenZFS core changes and also a syntax refactory, and they changed the ioctl interface in a non-trivial way. We didn't have much developer time to fix it, as we were chasing down plenty of, I guess you could say, little fires, and we had plenty of issues to close out. In fact, as Brian mentioned, we closed out over 300 issues. In fact, we were twice as productive in closing out issues gradually than we had been for previous releases. But anyway, so we weren't aware of how bad it would be when the ioctl interface broke until we actually had this release. And when it actually broke, things were far worse than we actually thought they would be. People had non-moving systems. In fact, I had non-moving systems. They were easy enough for me to fix, but they weren't so easy for users to fix. I lost quite a bit of development time helping users fix their systems. They were also rather upset. Then, some people thought they lost calls. There was a big strain on the volunteers and community giving support. And this lasted for months. We also have a web page dedicated to fixing that. Well, not first place, the first page, but in Google searches for ZFS on Linux, it actually reads the first page. So this was a much bigger problem than any of us anticipated. And it illustrates why we kind of need to do something about the ioctl interface changing number of things, as well, because this told us that's bad. Oh yeah, we also broke the install process for root on ZFS, so people who actually wanted to install new Linux systems using ZFS rootfs had problems. And that also contributes to support level. So, yeah, users were very upset. In fact, there are some long times to send issues who think ZFS Linux is unfit for production due to this incident. They appear to be a small minority, which I'm happy to say, but we can't allow this to happen again. If this happens again, okay, so users forgave us, but if it happens again, I don't think they'll forgive us as memory, because they forgave us saying, we're really upset by this, but we understand it's a one-time thing. We don't want to ever see mess up again. So there's been some work that's been done toward providing a stable interface. That was OpenZFS 4, which unfortunately was at the heart of the 0.63 fiasco in regard to the ioctl interface changes. And it provided a stable, well not the heart, but one of the things that contributed to the changes, provided a stable creative interface, and it was meant to be a thin shim over the ioctls. Now, it even introduced a new ioctl design, and I think I'm probably reading too much of my slides here. However, I want to make sure I've got all the points covered. I'll try to walk through the slides a bit clearer. Anyway, so it had columns, no mids, key features. It even had other problems where, I even listed here, if you wanted to use it and create a file system or a data set, and you want to set index properties when you created it, you had no way of finding out what the index property values were. So, yeah, that was the first attempt. And guess the real reason for it is that we want to cut down on duplication of effort. And not only that, but, well, it is that, but for a few reasons. Duplication of effort in implementing the code that interacts with this interface adds bugs, it wastes developer time, it makes it harder to catch bugs because some guy implemented all this logic for this system or this language or whatever, another guy implemented his other language. They have two disjoint use cases, and there are bugs in the code in each other's use cases. So it would be nice to actually have a central, well, to reduce the amount of duplication by having a central library, and then have everyone that's doing something implemented over it for something like Python or Rust or Google Go, Java. I can go on forever. There are too many languages out there. I need to enumerate them all. So that brings us to designing stable interfaces. And in short, this is actually the reason why this hasn't been done before is that it's a pain to do. Especially since it's just, well, my slide says it. But there are plenty of examples of stable interfaces where people have made mistakes and they go up on PowerPoint slides and people saying this was a horrible idea, now we're stuck with it, let's try to make this better somehow, and then get into a safe situation. So we need to try to avoid this, and to avoid it, there's a very simple way of going about it. Stop thinking that you're not going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes no matter what you do, and the best thing to do is to focus on minimizing them. I'm hitting the wrong key. So you can look at history. You might have made a mistake in hitting the wrong key. If you look at history, you can try to plan ahead. I know on FreeBSD they actually include unused space in data structures being passed between the kernel and user space. So if changes need to be made, you can actually take some of the unused space and dedicate it to being something, which is actually a very great idea. In fact, Michael Curious at RelicsCon gave a talk on this exact thing where he mentioned, please add flag arguments for things like Duke 2 versus Duke 3, which actually poses a race condition that I don't have time to talk about. And then, thank you. Well, I only have 3 slides left, so. And this is my first time giving a presentation before so many people. I think I'm doing very good in the time that I have. Anyway, so here, you can also make trade-offs, such as simplicity and generality. So in terms of simplicity, you can have a simple interface like we do now in terms of listing data sets, and you actually can just keep getting the next one, the next one, the next one. Or you could probably have a more complex interface where you get them all in one go, which actually won't work given that there's a fixed amount of space being exchanged between user land and the kernel. Now, the simple way is good for security because there are a few ways it can mess up. The more complex way is better for performance, but it risks security issues because it gives you more ways to mess up. And I'm sure everyone probably knows this to some extent. I'm just enumerating things to lay down a background for a very short explanation of everything that I'm planning. So now for the plan of action. So my plan is actually a few, I guess like 6 steps. We're going to stop using string values for index properties between the user and the kernel. We're going to, or at least I'm going to, and you'll see whether or not this is accepted by the community, extend the OpenZFS core responses people were asking for. I know our waiting line was talking about this the other day, and there are also things that frustrate 3D, so those are first priority. Naturally, the interface will be even more, it will contain more changes than what industry going towards ZFS 4. And we're going to rework the ioctl interface a bit, and that is on the next slide. And finally, different bindings and users and consumers, and that's my general kind of attack. So here's my plan for ioctl changes. And I mentioned the ops flag that Michael Pierce mentioned. Instead of having an ops flag, I'm just going to have an ops ambiguous. I'm going to exclude certain things thank you. I'm going to exclude certain things like ioctl that is non-vital, and people could probably try to stabilize it later, but for now it will be unstable. And here, these are some simple things. I guess the biggest one is the logic parameter application states we're moving to the kernel. And this is my second to last slide. Usually I will migrate the ioctls into, migrate to ioctls wherever possible. But we'll always both for the time being. We don't want another .0.6.3 fiasco in terms of the ioctl interface changing on the users. And so we're actually going to groundwork for using the way CFS tools and LS branch zones and mixed-jails. And I wanted to have this already for review, although having worked with math and drawing to some extent, my standard for what goes out there has increased, and I don't really want, if it doesn't meet my present standard, I really don't want to put it out there because I don't think that it will get by them. So, okay, I think I have like 10 seconds for questions. Sorry about that. Okay,
so have you thought of using OpenZFS or possibly using as a metadata format for
I had not. Now, I had thought about something that I don't have time to discuss at the moment, who I would be using anyhow. But Robert in the corner over here didn't really like the mechanism, so I discarded that idea and decided I'll focus on simplicity. Especially since I didn't want to start introducing security issues. I'd rather not be the one responsible for CD, and that is signaling with his hand at times up, I think. So, thank you very much. It is not a stable interface. Only OpenZFS 4 at this time is a stable interface. Now, OpenZFS might have changed so gracefully, it seems stable.
Glacially, right?
Yes, gracefully.
Not gracefully, but glacially.
Yes. But it's not a committed interface, it can change at any time.
That's something I can ask OpenZFS to do. And I have a tough platform application and I won't have
Why don't you get in touch with me offline and I'll do use cases and I can try to include them in my plan. Okay, so thank you everyone.